I want you to pause whatever you're doing just for a moment and think back to the single decision that changed everything. Maybe you didn't realize it then. Maybe it seemed routine. Declining a trip, ignoring a call, choosing practical over passionate. In that instant, a brand new timeline snapped into existence. And the timeline where you made the opposite choice faded into the shadows. Tonight, we're stepping into that hidden branch. No faces. No actors, only the hum of memory and imagination. I call this branch Choice Zero, the very first fork where my life split, unseen, into two parallel paths. For me, Choice Zero happened 10 years ago, on a rainy Thursday in late spring. Picture a long, fluorescent college corridor. The walls are corkboard brown, plastered with flyers, music auditions, overseas internships, last-minute thesis workshops. I'm 20, backpack heavy with textbooks, shoes squeaking against linoleum. I'm headed for room 214, my final exam in computational theory. Passing by a faded poster, I pause. The headline reads, "Applications closed today, 5 p.m. I loved art once, but practicality whispered louder. Internships in Florence were for real artists, people who'd never abandoned their brushes. I was already late for an exam that would set my safe future in motion, so I snapped a photo of the poster, maybe later, and rushed on. That click, that casual maybe later, became Choice Zero. I passed my exam, earned a respectable degree, got a stable job, and seldom painted again. I told myself it was the sensible timeline. Yet every now and then, when rain taps the glass just like that Thursday, I wonder about the other path, the Florence path, the art path, the what if. Tonight, we're going to follow it. Close your eyes and step sideways with me, into the timeline where I did apply before 5 p.m. Same corridor, same dripping umbrella, but this time I stop. I read the fine print. I feel my pulse throb in my ears, and instead of photographing the poster, I pull off a tab with the web link. Cut to a cramped dorm room. Fingers race across keyboard keys. Application finished at 4:47 p.m. Send. Away it goes, out the Ethernet port, across the Atlantic, and locks into that unseen gearwork we call destiny. A month later, an acceptance email lights up my inbox. Picture old stone streets glowing amber beneath lamplight. I'm 21 now, sleep-deprived, yet electrified, hauling a paint-splattered canvas toward a riverside studio. The Arno shimmers teal under moonlight. Inside the atelier, marble busts loom like silent mentors. For 6 months, we resident artists breathe in turpentine and breathe out color. There's Isabella, the printmaker who etches her heartbreak onto copper plates. Kaito, the sculptor chiseling modern grief into Renaissance marble. And me, the once sensible student who traded proofs for pigment. Our days are a blur of critique sessions, wine-soaked midnight debates, and the constant thrum of possibility. Now pause. Remember, in my original timeline, I spent these months debugging spreadsheets in a gray cubicle. But here I'm learning that art isn't simply expression. It's a language that rewires everyone who glimpses it. Fast forward to opening night, June's sun sinking over terracotta roofs. The gallery glows with floodlights. My biggest piece hangs center stage, a triptych called Fragments of Rain. 3 canvases depict a single corridor dissolving into vivid, swirling color. Students, curators, strangers pass by. Some tilt their heads, others linger, eyes shining. One older woman wipes a tear. A critic from La Repubblica scribbles notes. A design director from a Milan fashion house quietly pockets my business card. I don't know it yet, but this moment pushes new ripples out into the world, ripples I'll never see in my original timeline. The review publishes. A magazine requests an interview. Invitations trickle in. In the timeline you and I remember, none of this happened, but in this branch, Fragments of Rain starts a chain reaction that lifts unknown faces, people who will tell me years later that my art gave them permission to pursue their own forbidden callings. Now step back, gently, into the present we share. I'm still faceless behind a microphone, still working a stable job, still haunted by idle sketches in forgotten notebooks. The Florence timeline flickers behind closed eyelids like film frames. Am I filled with regret? Oddly, no, because for the first time, I recognize how powerful this comparison truly is. It's not about bitterness. It's about agency. Seeing both timelines shows me that even my practical path is still soft clay, still valuable beneath trembling hands. Here's where I invite you, the listener, into an experiment. Over the next 24 hours, I will act as though the Florence timeline were real history. I'll resuscitate the artist within and recast one ordinary task, say drafting a report, as a creative ritual. Instead of bullet points, I'll storyboard it. Instead of monotone fonts, I'll inject color swatches. I'll document this pivot with POV footage, brushes sliding across digital tablets, color wheels spinning. Printer paper taped into triptych mock-ups. You won't see my face, but you'll feel the energy. A cubicle morphing into a mini studio. Coworkers glimpsing prototypes and raising curious eyebrows. And you? I challenge you to identify your choice zero. What moment did practicality override passion? Over the same 24 hours, resurrect that paused timeline in one small symbolic way. Post your evidence under #choice0. Could be a 10-second clip, dust off an instrument. Step back on the skateboard, open an old language app, nothing grand, just proof that the dormant path still breathes. Before we reconvene, I'm leaving you with 2 branching predictions and I'd like you to vote in the poll at the end of this video. Path A, resonance. My creative approach goes viral in the office. A manager requests I redesign client decks, sparking a microculture shift toward visual storytelling. Path B, resistance. My artistry disrupts established norms, meeting pushback. Yet that friction reveals hidden allies, co-workers who secretly crave creativity, ready to form a rogue innovation squad. Which do you think will manifest? Vote, comment, and share your own Choice Zero experiment. Parallel lives aren't fantasies, they're mirrors. They show us what's possible when fear loosens its grip and imagination takes the wheel. Even if we can't relocate to Florence tomorrow, we can let the artist, the adventurer, the linguist breathe tonight. Thank you for stepping into my Choice Zero. Subscribe to Voidlore Nexus for the next episode, where we reveal the results of our 24-hour branch test and dissect your #ChoiceZero stories. Until then, remember, the timeline you crave is only one bold choice away.